Welcome to the podcast of School Beyond Limitations. In this podcast, you will learn how to guide your child through their school life with the intention to help them find their unique essence that will allow your daughter, your son to live a fulfilled and meaningful life. Hello everyone. Today I'm really extremely excited because today I have a guest with me who will talk about School Beyond Limitations, and it's a special guest. This special guest is our first student at School Beyond Limitations who basically has finished and graduated this year and is now studying at Oxford University, or better to say, University of Oxford. So welcome, Faye. Faye, how are you doing in Oxford? Tell us.
I'm really great. It's been a wild ride. I had to kind of assimilate a little bit. But I've been here one time before with you actually in 2019, and now I actually have access to all of the spaces that I wanted to go to, the library. And of course my course is really great. And I mean I've been wanting to study this specific course for about 3 or 4 years now, maybe even more. I'm not really sure. So I'm still getting used to it, but there's so many new experiences that I'm having right now. It's hard to put into words.
It's beautiful to hear that. And you mentioned before that we went there in 2019. I remember exactly in September. And what was your first impression, and how did that first impression actually help you to understand that's the place you want to go for?
Um, well, I mean, my first impression was really that it's just a whole city filled with like-minded people, and I've been really reassured by that. I mean, you just randomly meet people and make connections, and that's really great. My second one was the weather, and I was proven correctly. I mean, it's so unpredictable, and I kind of like was prepared for that a little bit through the first visit. But it could be like a blizzard outside, and 5 minutes later it's like sunshine and rainbows. But yeah, that's kind of a part of it, if you move here.
But when we were there, remember, then we went up to a hill, a tiny
Mm.
hill, and we were looking at the city. And, already at that time, there was this kind of understanding, wow, this is somehow, as you said before, like-minded people around
Mm.
me. And ever since, did you already ever since make this decision? I want to go in that direction.
I think so. Yeah, I think that was really I went on that trip uncertain if I wanted to, if the UK was the direction I wanted to go in. And then, of course, the first thought I had was Oxford University. But yeah, I went there, and that was very, very reassuring. And yeah, I mean, it's been going really well so far.
Faye, and then of course there was lots to do in order to
Mhm.
get ready to actually have access to the University of Oxford. So, how would you describe the support that you received from School Beyond Limitations?
I mean, I would say that it was just such a big help, and it wouldn't have been that easy without you and the teacher mentors. And it's just been so much encouragement. Like every idea that I came up with, it was just there were no doubts, and no concerns that I might not get in or something like that, which I've heard from friends who have applied to universities like this, that haven't been encouraged like that. So I was very, very thankful that the school helped me along the entire way with my application, and now even afterwards with getting settled and getting everything in order. And yeah, I'm just massively thankful for that.
Thank you so much, Faye. And you are just a student who is wonderful to work with because you knew what you wanted. And I remember when you were actually not even 16 yet. Remember when
Mhm.
you wrote your first or second, actually was your second book in a short period of time. Um, when did you feel the passion within yourself? When did you realize that you want to become a writer because basically you are a writer, right?
Mhm.
And when did you understand this is where you want to go for?
I mean, that started very, very early on, before I could even write. So I would always be very much into storytelling. My dad was really into fantasy fiction. He like read me The Lord of the Rings, which has also come full circle because the author that wrote Lord of the Rings studied here. But that kind of got it started for me, this passion for writing. But I remember, or I don't remember, I get told this instance a lot, with my best friend who's 1 year older than me. I'm still friends with her. When she got into school and I was still in kindergarten, she had homework to do all the time. And I was kind of almost jealous of her that I didn't get these assignments. So her mom kind of sat me down and I started telling her a story and she typed it up on the computer. And that was before I even learned to write. So that still exists somewhere. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but that was like the first thing I've ever written, basically. And I get told that story all the time, and I love that.
And I still remember the story that you wrote in those 3 months, I think, when you were 15 and turning
Mhm.
16 in the summer. And it's still sitting in our archive.
Yeah.
You were talking about wanting to publish it, remember?
Mhm.
And if you look back at that time, you still wrote in German. And now, what
Mhm.
has happened through also this journey, going through school beyond limitations? What happened with that?
I mean, even here, I get asked a lot, like, do you write in German or in English? But that was a switch that happened so quickly. I think in the span of 1.5 years. And I mean, I've been relatively fluent before I joined School Beyond Limitation, but through that interaction, every day, you get so used to the language in all of its forms, in a way. So that helped. That made the transition from German to English extremely easy. I was in one of my courses here at the university, and we were going through poetry and rhythm. And there's a couple of people in my course that are not first language speakers, and I'm one of them. And the course leader, he said, like, for those where English is not their first language, it might be a bit harder. And I was like, excuse me, that's not true. And
But
I think that's a lot thanks to these like everyday interaction and the everyday learning.
And when you're talking about the everyday learning at School Beyond Limitations, right? I mean, you were mentioning before that you got so much encouragement as well in comparison to those students whom you met now also at university.
Mhm.
So, what are, in your view, the main elements, aspects of School Beyond Limitations that encourage a student to actually pursue their passion and pursue their talent? What would you say are the key elements?
Um, I would say one of the concepts that are so vital to the school is that kind of every idea is a good idea for the students. So you're very encouraged to come up with your own path, and if that's an unconventional path, then that's okay. And you can also change your mind. I mean, I changed my mind a bunch of times about the course, and I kind of threw the idea away for like a year and then came back to it very last minute, and that's why I'm here, basically. But it's just there's a lot of patience, and there's also a lot of recognitions of the ones who maybe have not completely figured it out yet, and I can really relate to that. So I would say that's the main thing, especially when choosing a path to go after the school, for like a career, basically. And it's definitely the encouragement that helps the most.
Thank you, Faye, because I think that's a very important element that you just touched upon. Because, sometimes, we do not exactly know in which direction we want to go, and we need to experience it. And if I get kind of cut with that experience, right, then I may not pursue that. So I guess it is actually the perspective I take on life, you know, I can try out. And once I've tried out, I may be able to say this is the right or the wrong direction because I have an authority within myself, which then tells me, okay, that leads me, I want to go forward here, and here I may not go forward. And you know what struck me also very much about you, Faye, is that you were so in connection with your peers at School Beyond Limitations and with your facilitators as well and mentors, that you actually said even once you had finished, you know, with us, you graduated basically in June, right? And you said, I would still like to be with you at the first residential week in
Mhm.
September. So tell me, or tell us basically, uh, how that felt and why you wanted to join us still after you had finished.
Yeah, I mean, I'm first of all so thankful that we could make that happen. Time-wise, it worked out so well because I went to that residential and then straight to England to start my course. But it was really a lot of reasons. The first one is that I've been with School Beyond Limitation for so many years, for such a long time, and the location we went to was the location of our first residential. So it was mostly that and kind of seeing how in the span of 2 or 3 years things have evolved. And then of course spending time with my friends was just amazing. We had so much independence also there, even though it was quite secluded, we could still do our own thing. And I think it was a really great experience. And it kind of set me up almost for going on to like traveling to the UK because I had this very positive experience and this week of you know experiencing all these great things together with all these great people. And I think it made a very stressful situation of moving kind of easier to handle.
Oh, Faye, that's so beautiful. Beautifully said, also, you know, and you touched upon independence. Do you think that School Beyond Limitations helps students also with regards to getting independent, or do you think people tend to become too, you know, too used to be supported? What would you say about that?
I mean, I would absolutely say that it helps a lot. I mean, with the school, the way it works, I think you have to get used to a certain level of independence and being responsible for your own self, like your own good. I remember I was kind of like with assignments and things like that. At other schools, I was kind of like, I'm just going to tell the teachers what they want to hear. Whereas here, it's everybody understands that the assignments that they do and the projects that they do is for their own development. I think everybody at the school learns that at a certain point in a way. And I think that's really great. I think it helped a lot with me being able to handle these situations. And also with the course that I'm doing right now in creative writing, it's actually a very similar structure. There's a lot of self-directed learning and working on assignments and reading. So it was basically the perfect setup.
Well, you know what, Faye, also what you mentioned now that the student, when the student is ready, actually, they realize, right, what
Mhm.
they can take out of it. So, what do you think helps the student get ready? Because I remember that one of our students last year said, you know, what is the nice thing, or what actually will be the outcome if you attend School Beyond Limitations, and that student said, actually, you know, it really depends on you.
Mm.
On you. How would you describe that, Faye?
Yeah, I mean, that's the most fitting statement, I think, in this regard. It's really you're 100% in charge. And if you don't want to do it, nobody can make you. So you have to make your own decision on these grounds, basically. So of course there's a little bit of discipline involved, self-discipline. But I would say the number one thing is your own motivation and the things you want to achieve. And I think having a focus on that rather than having to have discipline all the time is a really great way to go for education.
Well, Faye, so you are basically saying there's a combination between patience, right,
Mhm.
and allowing students then really to discover one that they can get ready at a certain point, and
Mhm.
then they get the encouragement there. Well, and now I would like you to tell us a little bit more about your situation now and your experience now, because I think I would like you to inspire even more young people out there so that they see, wow, everything is possible. There's nothing that is not possible. It's just everything is possible if I'm going in that direction that I feel really motivated about and passionate
Mhm.
about.
I
Tell
mean,
us about yours.
I've had just such an overwhelmingly positive experience here. As I said at the beginning, that it's kind of hard to put into words. But I've had a teacher that told me when I was maybe 12 or 13 that if you study something that you're really passionate about, you're going to have a really good time. And for me, that's definitely proven to be true. I mean, I look forward to every single course that I do or every single module that I do. So in that way, for my course specifically, we're a very small group, and we've already become very close. I would say we're a group of like 18 people, and the course is taught in a way that allows you to really get into your own voice and your own writing, which I really love. And already the things that have come out of that are really great. And then, of course, Oxford as a whole, I really appreciate all of the traditions and the kind of um, more or less like special things to the university. First of all, you get really this very strong sense of history when you go through here. I've just very recently um, I kind of listened in on a walking tour. There are a lot of tourists around, and there's this door in front of the Bodleian Library. That's like the most famous, the old library here, that inspired J.R. Tolkien to write The Hobbit. So it's all these little things, and I mean, there's so many great writers that have been here. So you really get this sense of history and the sort of motivation in which direction you want to go. And then, of course, there's the like-minded people. I went to my first poetry night with an open mic. Um, that was quite a long time ago. That was 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I've made such quick friends with that, and I was the only person there who was a fresher, so a first year. And I was just like, I felt so embraced. Like everybody knew that I was a fresher because I like someone asked me right in the beginning, and then I was one of the people to read one of my poems, and the support was just absolutely overwhelming. So it's kind of all these sort of things. There's so many events, but like anything you're into, there's probably a club or a society for it. So it's really the a really great place for me, and you just get invited places, and it's very social. But I've also recognized that if I need time for myself, I can take that as well, especially for learning. I definitely like because the course days that I have are very intensive. They're from 9 to 5, basically. So I kind of always recognize that I need 1 or 2 days afterwards to rest a little bit.
I can imagine, but it's so inspiring, Faye, to listen to you. And it's also so inspiring to see and to experience that your journey, took you where you wanted to be. And this is just the beginning. And I'm sure, that you have inspired now many people who are watching this. And I'm so grateful for you making time. And I actually would like to invite you now publicly to join us for a this SPL community celebration to talk to our school about your experience, and maybe also to read them one of your poems,
Mm.
or even a short story of yours, because I think that's so inspiring and they will learn from you even more. And others will also take, this spirit with them and then start undertaking their journey. So thank you, Faye, for joining me for this short interview. I think people realize which kind of journey you went through. And if you are interested in School Beyond Limitations, and if you would like your daughter, your son to undergo such a nice journey, and where they will be supported by their facilitators in a way that they reach their goal, then please don't hesitate and get in touch with us and apply for a place. We are ready to take new students on board anytime if they are ready to undergo this kind of learning experience. Thank you again, Faye, and
Thank you.
see you soon. At School Beyond Limitations, we support our students find their unique essence. Feel free to share the content of this podcast with other parents. We are here to show that your children can, indeed, bring their unique essence into life. So, reach out to us if you think that this is what you'd like your daughter, your son to experience, or apply through our website. Also, leave your comments, your questions, or your review about the podcast. Share it with others. And as you know, sharing is caring.